Hi, it's Whitney Wiley, and thank you for joining me for today's Five and Five. I am talking about habits this week. As I mentioned yesterday, I am in the middle of the 30 Days of Habits. They're interviews that I'm doing for the book One Habit for Success, the Smart Fem Summit Special Edition. And I thought I would just build the five and fives around habits because we all have them. And the question really becomes, are they habits that are working for you? And I think overall, most of us have habits that, while we have some that do work for us, we have a lot of habits that we haven't really thought about or adopted intentionally. And it's interesting, I actually was interviewing one of the authors for the book this morning, and she has a habit where she gives some thought to whether or not what she's doing is a practice or a principle. And I thought that was a really good way of looking at it, of not making your practice the principle, right? And taking the time to really think about what you're doing so that you can be intentional and move forward only with those habits that truly serve you. So it's giving some thought to some of the habits that have worked for me over the course of my life, and to think about those things that have really served me as opposed to some that haven't. And I've got some habits that I need to get rid of. Trust me, I am far from perfect. I have lots of habits that I am in the process of reassessing, reevaluating. And I have some that, while I want to get rid of them, I honestly haven't made the decision to do what it takes to get rid of them, so they're still with me. And that happens as well. You can identify things that are a part of what you do, the way you think, the way you operate, behaviors that you have that are not serving you, and for whatever reason now isn't the time for that. But what I want to share with you today are three habits that I have that absolutely do work for me. And I think the way I want to put this is just to lay them out. There are three P's: planning, persistence, and people. And when I am a planner, so planning is a habit that works for me, but I've also noticed that being a planner, there are aspects of that which can get in my way and have been a hindrance, not the planning itself, but the reevaluation of what I'm doing, or the obsessive planning, or feeling like I had to plan until it was perfect. And so planning is good. Perfect planning, or planning perfectly, can take that over the top and turn it into something that no longer serves me. But in general, being a planner and planning works for me because I can structure my day and my time in a way that allows me to get done the things that I actually want to get accomplished. So planning is a great habit to have, as long as you don't let it get in the way because you're obsessing about being perfect with it. Another habit that I have is the habit of persistence. I am a very persistent person. Even when I am failing at things, when things don't go my way, when I make mistakes, being persistent is great, as long as when there are failures or mistakes that are made along the way, that I take the time to look at, to evaluate, to assess what went wrong, why it went wrong, and make adjustments. Now, it doesn't do anyone any good, including you. I'm going to say, especially me, doesn't do any good to be persistent and continuing to do the same thing over and over again without thinking about why it isn't working. We have to evaluate why it isn't working. Otherwise, you get into that place where, I believe it's Einstein that says, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it to get a different result, is insanity. And that's not where we're trying to go. The point of persistence is to say, I'm not giving up. I've got a particular goal. I'm not giving up until I get there. But if what you're doing isn't working for whatever reason, it makes sense. And you've got to look at whether or not there needs to be a tweak to what you're doing, or if reevaluate the goal to make sure it actually is the goal that you want. If you're off a little bit, or if you're off a lot, and how to get back on track. So all of things are part of that. And the persistence is about continuing to say, this is a goal. I've evaluated it. It is where I want to go. And I'm going to keep going until I get there. How you get there should be flexible. If your goal is rock solid, then the method of getting there, the manner of getting there, should be flexible, because you need to be able to move with what is. Variables, conditions change, circumstances change, and you need to be able to flow with it. And the third P I want to talk about in terms of habits, and maybe habits isn't the best way to put this, but it's people. And what I mean by that are the people that I have chosen to surround myself with, the people that you'll choose to surround yourself with as you make your march towards success and towards the goal that you are trying to accomplish. So the people that I've chosen to keep in my circle are positive people. They are people who also are persistent and have a plan and are moving towards a goal and something that they want to achieve. These are people that are included in my various mastermind groups. They are coaches. You know, I have a coach. I have several coaches. In fact, I have other people who are coaches that are not necessarily my coach, but that I bounce things off of. And I do the same for them. I have people in my life, I have an accountability partner. So in addition to the coaches, I have an accountability partner, and I am an accountability partner to other people. And then, mentors. And mentors are people who will share of their experience. They're people that I can go to with questions about their experience, and then they share that with me. And one of the best things you can do for trying to achieve any goal is to understand how other people have achieved that similar goal. That doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do everything they did lockstep, because some of what they did may or may not work for you, but you have to look at it as a model. If it worked for one, it could work for another. And if it worked for someone else, it could work for you. And then you take the information that you need to taking into account the changes in circumstances and timing and whatnot, and then take those pieces, take the nuggets that work for you. The people that are in my circle are people who are uplifting and encouraging, but they're also willing to call me out on my stuff, whether it is when I am being a perfectionist and that's getting in my way, or something else it has got me stuck. someone who will call me on and make sure that I am operating in the mindset and in the manner in which I say I want to hold myself accountable. So think about these three parts: having a plan, being persistent, and the people that you keep in your circle, the people that you're surrounded with, and look at your habits around those three things, those three P's. And why don't you share with me any thought, if you've got questions or thoughts or experiences you've had with those and how those have worked for you, or any challenges that you're having with them. I hope you are having a fabulous day. Hopefully, you're learning something about habits that you hadn't thought about before, either through this 5 and 5 or any of the interviews that I've conducted it. And if there are habits that you are interested in changing, let's have a discussion about that. Okay? Have a fabulous rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.